What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another Mustang rebuild video. In today's video, we're gonna be focused on our 1966 Ford Mustang that we bought from the salvage auction. If you guys watched our latest video, we did get the motor out of this 2015 Mustang, the one that is destroyed right there. We still have a couple components that we need to take off of it, like the rear end and the drive shaft. But check this out, the drive shaft is kind of stuck in there. I'm kind of thinking I want to put this car on the frame machine and try pulling it out. What do you guys think? See if it'll pull out, because we do have some stuff that is jammed up in here, and I think the dashboard is kind of stuck in there. So we might put this thing on the frame just to see how we can get it pulled out. But let's go ahead and come back to our 1966 Mustang right here. As you guys know, in the latest Mustang rebuild video we did, cut the entire floor out right here, and that's what we're mainly going to be focused on today. We have a lot more cutting to do, a lot more trimming and cleaning up, so we can get this big old 5.0 motor in here. We actually set it on the subframe, and it kind of lines up to the car. We kind of just put it up. It is a little bit too wide, but we might do a wide body, or I'm also thinking we could chop the car in half and make it a little bit wider, and what that will do is also help us put that dashboard in there. But that's just a suggestion for now. Now let's get to work. So before we get to work on the Mustang, we have some pretty cool tools from Eastwood. They actually sent us out some nice grinders in this box right here. We have a nice extended cutoff wheel right here, which is gonna be nice for all the hard to reach areas on this car. And then we also have a smaller grinder, which is gonna be nice for cutting smaller things. And then there's also this cool little adjustable grinders for all the tight, hard to reach areas. But the main thing we got is the plasma cutter. Let's go ahead and open this thing up. It is right here. Check this thing out. This is about to make our job a lot easier. We can do a lot quicker cutting. It's gonna be a little bit quicker than the Sawzall. So let's go ahead and get this thing out, get it set up, and see how it cuts. We got the plasma cutter all set up on this little welding cart. We also have a TIG 200 from Eastwood as well. We actually used it on Sam Crack's Lamborghini. If you haven't checked out that video, go ahead and check it out up there. But it did really amazing on the aluminum. So now let's go ahead and see if this VersaCut 60 plasma cutter can do some damage to this Mustang. So we're gonna go ahead and do a little test cut right here. This is kind of thin metal, but let's see how it cuts through it. Cuts through it like butter. I think I need to get some better shoes though, because I just burnt my foot. But check that out. This is gonna make the entire job so much easier. I'll go ahead and drop a link down below. And if you guys want to pick you up a plasma cutter, it just makes everything so much easier. Now let's go ahead and just start cutting as much of this car as we can. Check that out. We just did our first little major cut right there, and man, it is so much better than using the Sawzall. It's way quicker. So now let's just go ahead and start trimming everything else off the front right here. So a lot of sparks were flying at me, so we made a quick pit stop to Harbor Freight, and we got some nice boxing gloves right here. Now let's go ahead and just start trimming this bad boy up. Well, boys, fire. Lightly press it. Well, we should have probably got off all the wires before we started cutting, but no biggie. Ain't the first time this thing burned. got some of the areas cut and we almost burned this car down, but there's really nothing left of it. And check this out, the plasma cutter just makes everything so much easier. Now that we have all that cut off, we are gonna go ahead and use the grinder because we are planning on using this piece right here. It is still nice and solid all the way through there. And it kind of does come through here, right here. And all this stuff looks pretty good. It just needs a little wire wheeling or sandblasting. So let's go ahead and get the grinder and start trimming all this up. So we are gonna be using this Eastwood extended reach cutoff wheel. I actually used one of these on the Goon Squad Jeep and it was awesome. So let's go ahead and see how this thing cuts. So we got everything cut off with this grinder and this thing is awesome. It cuts right through it. Now we're gonna use a wire wheel on the grinder and start cleaning up off all the seam sealer because there is spot welds on this piece right here and also along through here. And we'll probably just go ahead and wire wheel everything. I wanna just start doing everything in pieces, probably get this front end, this side done, and then get this side done, and then just keep moving through so we don't get burned out on one section. So let's go ahead and start wire wheeling it. So we got all the seam sealer off all the spots. Now we've exposed the spot welds right here. And if you're wondering why we're not going to be replacing this piece right here, it is because it is in really good condition. We actually wire weld it and there's really no rust on there. And this is where the cowl mounts on right here. It actually goes over the windshield frame right there. So we're going to grab this spot or this belt sander right here and we're just going to grind down all these spot welds and get this piece off. So we got all the spot welds ground down with the belt sander, which works amazing. Now we're gonna grab this chisel and just chisel it all off. So we got the entire cowl piece removed and check that out. It's pretty solid steel. There's a little bit of rust pitting, but once you grind it down a little bit, there's solid steel. And if you guys are wondering why we didn't sandblast this car yet, it is because underneath this cowl area right here, there was a bunch of rust in there and you wouldn't be able to get that with the sandblaster until you removed it. And there's no reason to take it off and then sandblast it. And we also did go ahead and take a wire wheel to most of this stuff and it's Coming off pretty easy, as you can see right here. It's all bare metal, and we barely hit that actually. But now we're gonna go ahead and start removing the rest of this floor. We are gonna be using a Sawzall because, as you can see right here, this is a double wall. This is where the seats mount up and it bolts in from the bottom, and you can't cut that with the plasma cutter. So let's get the Sawzall and start cutting. Thing is coming apart. Oh yeah. Check that out. The floor pan is out, and look right here. You can also see where they swapped in the new piece. Oh, that is greasy. I'm guessing it was from a red car, or that might just be epoxy primer. But we got this area out. Now let's go ahead and see what we got going on in here. Oh yeah, it is looking good. Now before we cut the rest of the rear out, we also are gonna throw another brace from here to here just to hold everything together real nice. So let's go ahead and do some measurements and get a brace welded. So we got the reinforcement bar welded in right there because we are actually going to be cutting the entire floorboard all the way out to the trunk area, because on this Mustang right here, this subframe is actually pretty darn big and it's going to need a lot of room. We're planning on just unbolting this entire subframe right here and basically putting this entire thing in there because it has a good differential. Everything is mounted on. It's going to save us a lot of time instead of building everything custom. So let's go ahead and cut the rest of that floorboard out. have to use a sledgehammer. That piece came out pretty good. So we got most of the old 4-pan cut out, but now we have to go ahead and start cutting out the frame rail in the rear. It actually goes under here, but we are going to be using a fully custom frame that I'm going to be building because we are doing the suspension and we are doing twin turbo on this car, so it's going to be pushing some serious horsepower, and this weak old frame won't be able to handle it. So now let's go ahead and start doing all the finesse cutting around here. We might even break out the plasma cutter, but let's see how the Sawzall works for now. So we are going to be using the plasma cutter to cut inside here because it is kind of an intricate cut. We're going to try to save these wheel wells for now because we don't know if we might be able to reuse them because they are in pretty good condition. They're nice and bed lined. So let's go ahead and cut this out. So we got everything nice and cut off. The only thing now we have to do is do some finer cutting around here. But we did run out of belts on the belt sander, so we're gonna call it a day on all the cutting. But let's go ahead and do some cleanup and then we'll talk more about the build. So that is gonna be it on all the cutting on the car. It's pretty late, but I kind of want to line up this motor to this car. Let's see how it fits up. So let's go ahead and pull it forward and see how this thing lines up. So check this out, we got the 5.0 motor slid under here. We also went ahead and threw the fenders on and the front grille just to get a perspective of how this motor is gonna sit in there. And it surprisingly is fitting pretty good. The reason why this wheel is so cambered in is because the motor's sitting a little bit too low, but if we lift it up a little bit, it will straighten up and it will fit in the wheel well pretty good. As you can see in the back, we have the stock Mustang rims in the back right here. We can also go with some different tires, but we'll probably will get some different rims also. But man, look at this, it's almost there. Check this out, this is basically how you're gonna be sitting. And the transmission isn't too big, so it's gonna be perfect right here with the shifter. It's crazy how these cars are almost alike. Now we're also gonna try to get this 2015 dashboard in. I got from a friend of mine. Let's see if this thing will fit in there. There we go. Check that out. It literally slips in like a glove. It's crazy how these cars are so alike. It's literally the same exact width. We might have to do some modifications to the door because you can see it sticks out just a little bit, or we'll trim up the dash. I'm not too sure yet, but this build is moving pretty quick. Check this out right here. Also, the shifter's gonna be like right here. We might have to move the motor back, but it's crazy. The dimensions are almost the same from a 1965 to a 2015, which is just mind-boggling. And if you also look at the dashboard and you look at a 1966, it almost looks exactly the same, just a little bit more modern. But man, this is gonna be nice. We're gonna have to push the start right here with the navigation system. And also we're planning on getting the full digital display up front. But man, this build is coming along really good. All right guys, that is gonna be a wrap for today's video. Let's do a little recap of everything we did on the Mustang. So we basically finished up cutting all the floor out. We prepped up the front end right here where the cowl goes. All of that is prepped. We still have to do a little bit more cutting, but that'll be for the next episode. And also in the next episode, we're gonna go ahead and finish stripping down this entire car right here. As you can see, the rear suspension is still on it. We have the drive shaft still in it and all the braking components, but we're gonna try to do a lot more fabbing before we start taking anything apart on this car. So if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and also follow me on Instagram at VTune.